So with the federal debt currently over $16 trillion, I think that we can all agree that it's an issue that can no longer be overlooked. What are your views on how we should tackle the federal debt? Is entitlement reform a necessary component of tackling the federal debt? And if so, what specific proposals would you advocate?
Are we also talking about the trade deficit here with China, or is that a separate topic? Yeah, we left that out. Okay.
You mentioned me. I can tackle that first. Look, let's be real. $16 trillion is just an absolutely ridiculous amount of debt. We've seen in this last 4 years our debt increase more than the 8 years of President Bush. That's unsustainable. We cannot continue on this path of reckless spending, and we've got to do something to rein that in. So the question is, how do we do that? It is a fact that a majority of our budget, and I can't remember the exact statistic, but a majority of it, I know that, of our budget is through the entitlement programs. So therefore, it is important that we do find ways to reform them in ways that are both sustainable and ways that enable job growth and just generally promote the overall well-being of the American citizen. So some of the things that the Romney-Ryan ticket are proposing, I'm just going to talk about Social Security, for instance. That seems to be one of the major issues in this election. The Romney-Ryan ticket is proposing a gradual increase in the age of Social Security. This is something that would be done over an extended period of time that would help bring the cost of that program to a more sustainable level. I do want to emphasize, because the other side seems to not understand this, I do want to emphasize that if you're over the age of 55, which none of you are, but if you're over the age of 55, this reform will not affect you in any way. I also want to talk about Medicare, because under Obamacare, the president took $716 billion, $716 billion from Medicare to help pay for this Obamacare. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing this for lack of a better way of putting it, we're seeing this stripping of all this funding from Medicare, which is taking money away from our elderly, and this is just something that we can't sustain it. So we do need more sustainable options for our entitlement programs, and we need to get this deficit and this debt down, because we're on a reckless path right now.
Obviously, $16 trillion is kind of ridiculous, and I don't think that we've seen many serious attempts by President Obama to really address the debt level. I also think that it's important to note that it's not going to be an easy thing to get rid of this kind of debt. Government spending is going to have to be cut significantly, no matter what happens and no matter where it's cut from. It's going to have to come down. And I think that the most important thing for everyone to keep in mind is that if it doesn't come down today, it's going to come down, tomorrow or next week or next year. And the longer that we wait, the bigger the retraction is going to be. So rather than spending all my time saying, oh no, it's super bad, because everybody knows that, I'm just going to say that it's going to happen either now or it's going to happen later. And I think that the one thing that we should keep in mind is that it's not going to be as easy as everyone makes it sound, even the Republicans make it sound. It just needs to happen.
Absolutely. So in terms of expanding the age at which you're eligible for Social Security, that proposal would disproportionately affect women because women rely on Social Security more than men, because they disproportionately work their entire lives in low-wage jobs, like we talked about earlier, with few benefits, and live an average of 7 years longer than men. So this is an issue that the Feminist Legal Forum would be seriously concerned about. And furthermore, this isn't something that's necessarily a feminist issue, but in terms of reducing funding to Medicare and applying that to the Affordable Care Act, it's not as though all of those, including seniors who were previously covered, all those seniors who were covered under Medicare are now no longer going to be covered. They're going to be covered under the Affordable Care Act. So it's not like we're taking that money away from seniors and putting that somewhere else. We're putting it towards a different program to cover seniors.
And I just wanted to note for all of the math people here that if women live 7 years longer, and then men are going to be more affected, have a larger amount of their end life percentage-wise, where they're not going to be able to be on Social Security benefits. So if you just do the math, it's 7 extra years for women. You know, taking out 1/7 is a lot less than less than that, or is a lot more than less than that. So just do the math, and it's actually going to affect men more. So that's all I wanted to say.
What's happening?
Who's for life does not have a stance.
Yeah, so, okay, as a lot of people here know, at the end of the year we're facing what's called sequestration, which is actually a term that neither Republicans nor Democrats like. And so I think that it's important, I think Matt and I would agree that it's important for our Congress to reach a deal on this to avoid that. So that being said, the president does believe that we need to make cuts, and he's actually laid out a specific plan that cuts $4 trillion, but rather than going in to every single detail of that, which would surpass the time we have, I would say that the main thing that he's proposing is that under the Bush tax cuts, Bush in 2001 and 2003 proposed a tax cut that lowered the tax rates for people across the board. And this includes people making over $250,000. And to be clear, they're getting a tax cut right now. Now, these people are neither asking for this tax cut, nor do they want it. And so what the president favors is letting that tax cut for those making over $250,000 expire. It's not deliberately raising the taxes on them, but it's letting that tax cut expire. And in that way, we can not only cut our deficit, but we can continue to make important investments in the things that we need to move our economy forward, like education and job training and things of that nature. Another thing, we're saving a lot of revenue actually because the president ended the war in Iraq and because we're pulling out of Afghanistan. And you know, Vice President Biden said in the debate last week, we are unconditionally leaving in 2014, and that's going to, if we're reelected, if President Obama is reelected, Paul Ryan and Mitt Romney is kind of more conditional. They would assess the situation, but if he's reelected, we're also going to save that revenue as well. So the revenue from the two wars, letting those tax cuts expire, and then addressing something Matt said about Medicare. Obamacare does take $716 billion out of Medicare, but what it does is it puts it back into the donut hole of Medicare so that seniors can afford more and have lower costs on their prescription drugs. So it takes that money out and actually puts it back in. So, yeah.
Okay.
Follow up. Sorry, just that makes no sense to me. I mean, why would you take it out to put it right back in? That makes no sense. I'm sorry, but under the Obamacare, $716 billion has been stripped from Medicare, and taking it out and putting it back in.
It's putting it into programs that allow seniors to have free preventive services, that allows them to more affordably to get more affordable prescription drugs when they're older. So it's refocusing it. I guess I shouldn't say take it out. It's maybe not the most descriptive word, but it's refocusing that money.